So the warmest welcome again to all of you who have made it here to the live, to all of you who are watching on replay. These release classes are a very special part of our membership and a really special part of my heart and my work that we do here, because they provide such a beautiful opportunity for nervous system regulation, for emotional processing, and for release. And so let's just have a little look before we go into the practices for today, just to kind of understand what it is that we're doing when we do somatic work and why we do it in the first place. So to do that, we're just going to understand a little bit about our nervous system. We won't spend too long here, and then we'll begin to guide you through some beautiful practices today. So most of you are probably familiar with this, but if you're not, this is a kind of diagram of your autonomic nervous system. So this is part of your body, your nervous system, that really takes care of a lot of those unconscious processes like breathing and heart rate and digestion. And it's also where those threat responses are driven through your nervous system to get your body prepared for stress or something that it perceives to be threatening. So your nervous system has these two branches: your sympathetic nervous system, which we associate with fight or flight. And really what this is about is just activation and mobilization. So if we feel really stressed, if we feel threatened in some way, our fight or flight, our sympathetic, may activate to get us ready to run or to fight, just to prepare us to cope with something that requires an energy output from us. And then we have our parasympathetic branch of the nervous system. And we originally understood this just to be our kind of chill out, relax, rest, and digest. But there's actually more nuance to it than that. It has these two branches too. So we have ventral vagal, which is our calm and connected rest, digest, restore, tend, and befriend. This is where we feel compassion and playful and curious and oriented to our environment. It's where we feel safe, and it's where the body functions really well. So we have digestion working really well, and we have sleep probably working quite well. The other branch of parasympathetic is dorsal vagal. So this is our oldest and most primitive threat response. And really this is about the body saying, I've been under too much stress for too long, or something that's too threatening has happened too fast, or I've been neglected in some way and haven't had enough for such a long time, that our nervous system tires of being in fight or flight, and we move into dorsal vagal, which we know as freeze or shut down or immobility or collapse. And this is where we might feel quite stuck and unmotivated and depressed and just very flat. So you'll know what it feels like if you've been in that place. And many of us can fluctuate between, right? We go from fight or flight, that stress, that anxiety, and that go, go, go energy, and then we slip into feeling really just slumped. And so what happens, and why we do this work in release in this class, is because when we don't feel and process our emotions, they can become stuck and stagnant and locked into the body. And this is often what happens with chronic stress responses or trauma. So if in your life you've been through things that have meant you've had to be on guard and armoring and in your fight or flight, then you don't process that in any way. So you don't get to act on that, for example. So let's say you're in a toxic work environment. You're always stressed. Your body is tense, but you keep having to show up, and you don't get to do anything with that cortisol and that adrenaline. And over time, this might look like this becoming quite stuck in the body. So we get this chronic tension and pain showing up. And this is a sign of our nervous system having stuck emotions, things that aren't regulated. And this is what somatic practices do. So talk therapies are amazing, and they're that cognitive piece and that top-down piece. They're really helpful. But we really need to pair them with somatic work, because it's through the language of movement and the body that we can communicate safety back to our nervous system. So here, that's what we do. We'll be using somatic therapy tools, polyvagal, yin yoga, targeting that fascia where emotions get stuck and stagnant, mindfulness and meditation, and other various little snippets that I pull from different somatic techniques. So what I'm going to do now is just stop the screen share here for a moment. It's very bright where I am, so I may have to shut the curtain down in a moment. And we're just going to talk a little bit about moving into our first exercise. So now we know why we do somatics. So I just want to remind you before we begin, and invite you really to just do what feels right for you in your body today. And so we're all going to be showing up in different places, right? Some of us may be showing up here and we've been having a really stressful week and we're feeling really heightened in our energies right now. And some of us may be feeling really slumped and down. So I welcome you, whatever it is you're showing up with today, just to sit with that in this moment. We don't need to try to fix or change that, just to allow that to be here, be present, and to listen to your body and your nervous system while you're here. So that if something starts to feel overwhelming in what we're doing, or you start to feel a bit dysregulated, then know it's fine for you to press mute, hop up, grab yourself a glass of water, make a cup of tea, or even leave class for the day and come back to the recording when you feel like you've got a little bit more capacity for it. So throughout our practices, sometimes people feel really relaxed and they feel this kind of sense of calm. Other times release feels like real emotions bubbling up or wanting to cry. And so if that tips over into you feeling like you can't sort of hold your ground and hold your capacity, then it's absolutely fine just to press pause and take a step back. So whatever it is, why don't you set yourself a little intention for today to show up with compassion and non-judgment, and just to witness what it is that happens for you today. So we don't need to place expectation, and we don't need to judge whatever we experience today as good or bad. It just is. So whatever happens for you is what is meant to happen for you today. So we're going to begin today's class with two different sort of guided somatic meditation practices. So wherever you are, find yourself a really cozy seat for this first one, somewhere that you can sit upright and feel comfortable. We're not going to lie down for this first one. And in this somatic meditation, what we're going to focus on is building something called dual awareness. So our ability to have our awareness resting in two different places at the same time. And what this really translates to in terms of processing trauma and emotions is about our ability to sit with something that might feel like discomfort or distress, and also to resource ourselves at the same time with something that feels like safety and groundedness in the present moment. So we're building that capacity to hold two things at once. So we often don't do that, right? We feel a big emotion and we either get totally derailed and sucked in to the emotion or to the trauma trigger, or we resist it and we push it away and we numb it and we don't want to sit with it. And so therefore it never really gets processed. So this is going to build your capacity to be able to sit with tricky emotions over time and to do that in a way that feels safe. Okay, so wherever you are, cozy seat, you're just going to begin by asking yourself, what has my attention in this moment? So take a little scan, a little inward scan. What has your attention right now? We're not going to judge this good or bad. You might notice that it's thoughts that have your attention. So you might be kind of aware of thoughts of what's going to come up in this class. I'm not sure about this, or, oh, I've got this to-do list waiting for me after this. So if it's thoughts that you're aware of, can you just try to gently shift your focus to notice what sensations are in your body? So if we ask, what has your attention in this moment in your body? And that might feel like a really big shift. That might feel like something that you don't usually do. It might take a moment just to notice, what is on top? What is calling for my attention in my body right now? What is it that I'm feeling? So just sit with that for a moment. What's there? And just notice your breath. Notice your contact points. So it might be that you can feel your bum on the seat, your legs crossed. You might feel your hands resting in your lap, on your thighs. Just noticing those little things. What is it that has your attention? And now I'll get you just to begin to look around the space that you're in. So start to scan your gaze around your room, around the environment, and begin to notice colors and textures. You might notice different patterns or the way that the light is hitting things, different shadows that are being created. And also just begin to notice, is there something in your space that your eyes are being drawn to? Somewhere that you kind of keep coming back to? What in your space feels like you just want to land on, spend a little bit more time looking at or soaking that up? It might be an object that just feels really pleasant to you to look at. Maybe makes you feel a bit of joy or a sense of safety, or there's some curiosity about this. And just stay with that for a moment. Stay with that one object and just soak that in, really witnessing and observing. Now come back to your body. So bring your awareness back inward. What are you aware of now? What has your attention now? Just notice if you've closed your eyes, or if you have this sense of wanting to close your eyes and turn inward when I ask you about your body, and see if you can open your eyes back up. See if you can just keep them open for this practice, because in this practice, we've got dual awareness. So we're noticing our body, we're being able to connect, to land here, while we're also holding our presence and our capacity to witness what's happening around us too. So with your eyes open, just what are you aware of in your body now? Maybe you can bring some little wiggles in, maybe some wiggles of your fingers, wiggles of your toes. Or maybe you notice something like, is there a sense of warmth anywhere? Do you notice tension anywhere? Do you have a sense of your heartbeat? You might not. Some of you might. And what about your breath? Where is that landing in your body right now? Is that landing in your chest? You're noticing that more, or are you noticing more that your belly is moving? And again, no judgment, no right or wrong, just noticing. And now I'll get you to come back to your object. So let your eyes come back, if they've drifted away, to that object that you wanted to land on before. See if you can just hold your focus now on both. Can you be with the object? Can you observe all of those features and details, whilst also being with your body? And just noticing here if anything shifts, anything changes. And we're not needing to force that or expecting that that has to happen. We're just observing. Dual awareness. And that dual awareness for you might feel like going back and forward initially. So that might feel like scanning the body, scanning the object, scanning the body, scanning the object. Or maybe for you, you can have a sense of something in the body, the tip of your nose, and the object at the same time. And notice here if your body wants to move in any way. And just allow yourself to do this if you have a sense of wanting to move. And again, this is a completely non-judgmental, intuitive thing. Just see, does my body want to do anything? And if it doesn't, it can stay in stillness. That's absolutely fine. Maybe you want to twist, to sway. Maybe you want to move your head. Maybe you're wanting to rub your hands down your legs or your arms. Just intuitively, what does your body want to do? And try to do this really mindfully and really slowly, almost as though you're moving through water. So we're not just kind of going through the motions. And remember, if your eyes have closed, just to open them up and maintain that dual focus. So as you're ready, just bring your body back into stillness. And ask yourself again, what has my attention right now? Just observe, what is it that's calling for your attention? Maybe witnessing any shifts or changes, just noticing that. So that closes out our first somatic meditation, our first practice. So that was a practice of being able to sit with those two things at once. And you'll notice that a really big part of doing this work is also about witnessing, curiosity, non-judgment. So we're sort of just allowing whatever's there to be. So as we go, you're welcome to share reflections now that we've taken a pause in the chat if you're here live, or if you're on replay, you might even like to just jot down, press pause maybe, and just jot down your reflections. What was it that happened for you? What was challenging? What was interesting? What did you observe during that practice? Okay, so we're going to begin to work with how is it that we name an emotion. So we know, right, that it's going to be really useful to be able to name how we feel. And you've probably seen so many things that say, this is how you process emotions. But what do we do when we don't know how we feel in the first place? What do we do when we feel like we can't even name what it is that's going on in our body? And I guess first and foremost, I really want to offer you some reassurance that it is actually a really normal thing to have happen, that you end up feeling disconnected from your feelings, disconnected from your body, your somatic sensations and your emotions. And this is especially the case if you've experienced a lot of stress or trauma or anxiety, because the body in those states can often naturally, for protection, want to dissociate you and shut you down from feeling those things. And that's a safety mechanism. That's done outside of your conscious choosing in order to protect you. So we can sort of thank our body for trying to do the best it could do to keep us safe, given what it is that you've been through in your life. Doesn't it make sense? that it would protect you by that disconnection. And so, given that you're here, it lets me know that you either are exploring the connection back or you're willing to begin to explore it. And that's a really beautiful thing. And I know that that can feel uncomfortable at first because it feels foreign for us when we've been disconnected for some time, perhaps. But over time, that will start to feel really safe and begin to help you to process things. And also think about the fact that we kind of get praised for being really under control and not connected to our emotions a lot of the time. I wonder if anyone resonates with being raised perhaps in a home where either a parent took up all the space with their own trauma or mental health or addiction, their own emotions, there was no space for ours. Or perhaps there was a parent who stepped back from you when you did display big feelings and emotions. Maybe you were praised when you were quiet and calm, and when you were angry or really emotional, you might have been told, suck it up or go to your room until you can come out and act right. And, that we get a lot of these messages as children. So no wonder, right, we find it difficult to say how we feel. But what we do know is that naming emotions helps to down-regulate our limbic system, that emotional center of the brain, helps to calm down our amygdala, our little threat response alarm system. And it also helps us to externalize. So we get to create a little bit of space between us and the emotion. Often it feels like when we do feel our emotions, they totally consume us. So this helps to create that space. So how do we start to feel our emotions? How do we know what we even feel? We start with the body. So we're going to do that together now in our next short meditation. And what I'm going to do is just do a little screen share again here to share with you some somatic vocabulary words. So this is just going to help you if you find it really hard to describe what's going on in your body. So I'm just going to leave this here as I guide you through this next piece. And you don't necessarily have to look at this at all. Okay. So take a pause for a moment where you are. Let's take 3 deep breaths together here. A lovely inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose if that's available to you. Inhale through the nose, filling out the lungs, the diaphragm, the belly. Exhale, let it go. One more. Inhale, deep, nourishing breath. Exhale, release. And close your eyes just for a moment if that feels okay for you. If it doesn't, you're welcome just to take your gaze down, soften your focus, and just gently begin to scan your body now. So you might start at your feet, noticing your feet, noticing your legs, your glutes and your pelvis, your belly, your back, noticing your chest, your shoulders, your arms, wrists, hands, fingers, your neck, your jaw, face, top of your head, back of your head. And as you scan, perhaps you noticed certain areas holding more tension, feeling certain ways. So just begin to tune in now to whatever is present for you in this moment. What is it in your body that's calling for your attention the most? And just begin to describe Any somatic sensations you are noticing to yourself without needing to do anything about them, simply just noticing. And so you might look at the screen here if you want some of those words to help you bring some language, bring some description. Just spend some time here, just witnessing body sensations, watching them as they change. You may notice something that feels empty or hollow somewhere. And then perhaps, something feels sharp, tight. Maybe you notice a tingling or a coolness, or something feels bloated, something feels light, something feels knotted. And you'll notice those things perhaps shift. Your attention may be drawn to another part of your body. You're just the witness as things come and go. They may fade and dissolve. They may become more intense. It's all okay. Remember, if anything starts to feel overwhelming, you can open your eyes, you can orient to your environment again, you can take a break. Just notice here as you're doing this, whether there's any tension or gripping or holding that's creeping in. So notice, is there a slight frown between the eyebrows? Is there a tension in your jaw? Are your shoulders slightly hunched? Are you gripping your hands? Are you holding a sort of bracing in through your stomach? What about your breath? Are you breathing, or are you holding your breath? And if there's a gripping through the chest and belly, are you able to soften slightly here in order to take some inhales deep into your belly? And just ask yourself, it's no pressure, what is my general emotional felt sense right now? So is there an overall positive or neutral or uncomfortable quality to this feeling? No judgment. It's fine, whatever it is you discover. And maybe you just sit with that. That's as far as you go today. Maybe you just notice that this is neutral, this is positive, or this is uncomfortable. Maybe you've just picked up on a couple of feelings, a couple of sensations in your body. Or maybe you ask yourself right now, do I have a sense of a more specific emotion? No pressure, you might not. But your body may give you clues about this, right? So feeling bubbly or warm in your chest or your belly, that might be happiness or joy or excitement. Feeling heavy, dropping or flipping feeling in your tummy, maybe that's anxiety or nerves or worry. If you notice that heavy, tight feeling in your chest, is this stress, overwhelm, grief? Feeling a weight in your head, is that tiredness? Observing a quick heartbeat, maybe that's a feeling of panic. Maybe you notice a really full, heavy head and a constricted chest, and that's your overwhelm. Maybe you feel burnt out or stressed. Maybe you feel a sense of lightness, heaviness, or even expansion. That could be calm, could be relaxation. So just when you're ready, just have a go, have a shot at naming your emotion. You don't need to get it right. And in fact, once you say it out loud, you might realize that it doesn't quite fit, and that's helpful information too. Or you might just say a general term. I'm noticing a neutral feeling or a positive feeling or an uncomfortable feeling. Breathing here, sitting with this. And if you were to describe this emotion, what would it look like? Where is it in your body? And can you imagine now a beautiful, warm, golden, healing light coming in through the ceiling, through the sky, entering your body, through your head, and spilling up and surrounding this place in your body, surrounding your emotion? Just breathe into that for a moment. Maybe it helps to visualize this healing golden light dissolving any trickiness, any tension, allowing your belly to soften, your breath to deepen. Breathing into whatever you're feeling in your body. And take 3 deep breaths here before we finish. In your own time, imagining your exhale further releasing, further dissolving, letting go anything you no longer need. Permission to release what's no longer serving you. And as you're ready, just coming back to the room, opening your eyes if they were closed. I'm going to just stop the share here again, and we're going to move into some of our more somatic, movement-based practices now. So really, like I said, these have the purpose of releasing trapped emotions. So when emotions become stuck and stagnant and trapped in reflexive patterns in our body, some common kind of signs of that are tummy issues and bloating and IBS and brain fog and insomnia, tight throat, and chronic pain and tension through our neck, shoulders, back, constant racing in the stomach, tight hips, breathing in the chest all the time. And as we learn to release through these somatics, you might notice some signs of release. So what you might look out for just in this next portion of practice, this won't necessarily happen. And if it doesn't mean you haven't had some kind of benefit or release. It's still going to be of benefit. But what you might notice, so just a curious eye out for, maybe there's tears, maybe there's not. You just might notice certain emotions coming up. You might notice sighs, so lots of sighing or spontaneous kind of feeling in your body. Maybe you'll yawn, so if you notice yawns. You might have gurgles, so sort of tummy gurgles, more saliva in the mouth, so wanting to swallow, deep swallows. Or just a feeling of lightness and relaxation. So let's get into the sequence now. Just want to let you know, one of the things we're going to do is dipping our toe in to TRE, or a trauma release exercise sequence, which involves us bringing in intentional shaking into the body, which will happen spontaneously. So we're not going to force ourselves to do it. The body will do it if it wants to. If you feel that it's just like, oh, I'm not sure about that, or that might just feel like, oh, I don't know, you might just want to watch that bit, that's so fine. And you could come back and do it on a replay. So if you start and you think, oh, I don't like that, it makes me feel a little bit out of control, you just simply stop the exercise and the shaking stops. So just kind of an invitation to you again. Remember, we're tuning into our body and we're doing what feels good and feels right for us. But we're going to begin just by creating some body connection. So I'm just going to move myself back a little bit to the mat so that you can see me here. And what you might like here is just blocks, a bolster, a pillow. You don't have to have blocks. You could have just a few extra pillows, is absolutely fine. And so we're going to start to build this connection. And I'm going to give you two options here in terms of what you can do with your eyes. So option one is an eye movement. We're going to be doing far to our left and then far to our right. If that feels really uncomfortable for your eyes, you can just close your eyes down. This is where you can start that Spotify playlist if you'd like some music. So let's begin in a comfortable seat. It might feel nice for you if it's hard to sit upright with a straight spine. If you just grab a wee pillow and pop it so that you're sitting right on the edge, it'll tilt your sit onto your sit bones. It'll tilt your pelvis a bit and enable you to have that nice upright spine. So that's just an option. So find that comfy seat. And we're going to begin with sort of a havening inspired move by just stroking down the chest, one hand after the other. Lovely and slow. And then take your eyes and look to your left. So we're leaving our head facing forward and our eyes have come to the left. Already I'm noticing these sort of deep spontaneous swallows. My body's so used to doing these exercises that almost anticipates a release. So I start yawning as soon as I do it. You might notice some signs. Just keep an eye out for those things as we go. So the eyes are to the left, the head is still ahead. And we're just stroking slowly over the chest. Maybe down to the belly if that feels good. Maybe staying up at the chest or even the neck. Just breathing here, notice if you've started to hold your breath or you've clenched through the belly. Just let go. Allow that softness. And then we're going to move our strokes to coming down our arms, both at the same time, starting at the shoulders, coming all the way down to the hands. And bring your eyes over to the right. And these beautiful body connection movements, just allowing us to come back safely to your body. It's worked so hard for you, trying to keep you safe, trying to protect you. We're able to give some love and connection back now, letting our bodies know it's okay. You're safe now. I'm here for you. It's okay to be present in my body. Just notice if you feel like you're going through the motions and really slow down and tune in. What does it feel like for your arms to be receiving this stroking, loving touch? What does that feel like? And what does it feel like for your hands to be providing that comfort and connection? It's really observing all those sensations. And coming back to center when you're ready, just pausing for a moment. Noticing any sensations, any echoes in the body, maybe tingling, beautiful warm energy through the hands. Notice if there's any resistance here, that's absolutely fine. We don't have to wear our armor anymore. We are safe. And as you're ready, we'll come into a butterfly position. So the soles of the feet can come together to touch. And if this is really uncomfortable for you to have your knees wide, you could bring some books, blocks, or pillows underneath your knees, just to provide a bit of grounding, loving support. This is where it might feel really nice to prop yourself up a little bit with your pillow so that you've got that lovely straight spine. And let's just for a moment here connect with these beautiful pressure points of the feet. So thumbs are pressed in just below the pad of the foot. And I've got my forefinger and middle finger on that liver pressure point, acupressure point, which is just between the big toe and the second toe and down. And you can sort of feel a little gap there. And so we're just going to hold into that pressure point, just connecting with our body for a moment here. Take a deep, beautiful, nourishing breath. How wonderful that you're showing up here to be with your body today. It's whatever it is that it's bringing. And let's start to build some of that connection and loosen up a little bit through our hips here. So we're going to start with a barrel roll. So you kind of imagine here that your top half of your body is like a wooden spoon, and your pelvis and the bottom half of your body is the bowl. And you're mixing up maybe some delicious cupcake batter for pancakes. And so you're barrel rolling through the top half, scraping the wooden spoon around the outside of the bowl. We'll just go in one direction for now and we'll change shortly. So as we come forward, the chest opens. And as we come back, we cave and curve through the chest. The belly comes towards the spine. And you might like to sync this with your breath now. So we inhale as we come around. And exhale as we scoot back. And changing directions if you haven't already. Well done. And then we're going to do some little rocks and tilts. So we're just going to inhale and allow the pelvis to tilt forward, and then exhale, scoop the tailbone under, belly comes to the spine. So just rocking, kind of tilting back and forward. It's really common to experience a lot of tightness in the hips. And so we're just building that connection and releasing some of those muscles. And now I'll leave this next option to you as to whether you'd like to take a little fold or a little recline. So if you feel like what you need now is expansion and heart opening and opening up, you can recline yourself back. And so that might look really lovely to do that with a bolster behind you or a pillow, but you can just lie straight back onto the floor. So that's option one, is taking a supine butterfly. And then option two would be maybe to use some things to prop yourself up with and folding forward, wherever feels comfortable for you. So take your option there. And we're just going to be here for 30 seconds or so. Just breathing. Noticing whatever is present in your body. And our psoas muscle, this beautiful hardworking muscle that wraps around the back And over our hips, connects to the diaphragm and the tops of our legs. This muscle gets activated whenever we're in a sympathetic response. It gets tightened and tense, ready to help us run, to help us fight. But what happens when we don't do those things? Our lives tend to be stressful and we have this tension, this activation without the completion. And over time, these muscles can become locked, our emotions become trapped in the fascia, and we become caught in these reflexive patterns. So doing things to release through these muscles can help us not only unlock our hips and find more freedom, but release and process emotions. Just breathing here. Let's take 3 more deep breaths in your own time. And as you're ready, you can come back to a seat. Or if you're lying down, you can just shift things out from underneath you. And we're going to come into a little bridge breathing series. And then I'll give you the options. If you want to do the TRE, the trauma release with some shaking, I'll give you options to join me in that if you'd like. But we start with our bridge breathing. So coming down to our back into a constructive rest position. So feet are about hip width distance apart, reasonably close into your sit bones, knees pointing to the ceiling. Arms are alongside to start. And as we inhale, we push into the feet, raise the hips and raise the arms. Maybe they come over pointing to the ceiling, or maybe they come right the way overhead. And then exhale your way back down. See if you can curve your spine just 1 vertebra at a time on your way down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down in your own time here. And let's do 1 more like this. And then if you'd like to join me for the TRE, you're going to stay at the top. You can bring your arms down by your sides. If you don't want to, you're welcome just to come back to the floor and just lie in a kind of beautiful Shavasana for a moment. If you're joining me for TRE, we're up here in this bridge. So this is starting to feel that working through the glutes and legs. You can either stay here for a little bit, or if you'd like, you can extend 1 leg out long and raise it up and down a couple of times. Probably really starting to feel that in that working leg. And bring the leg back down. And the other one. Come down anytime you need. Don't let yourself totally fatigue here. We just kind of want to work to maybe 60, 70% of maximum effort and then come down. Okay. Let's bring ourselves back down. Come back to a seat, and we're just going to do a couple of exercises that are the pre-exercises to doing the TRE. If you want to join me, do. Otherwise, you're welcome just to come into a child's pose or just stay relaxing with your breath. If you want to join me, we're going to come to standing. Just move this up so we can see. And we're going to place the left foot in front more, and the right foot's just acting like a little kickstand behind us. And we're just going to squat down all the weight in that right leg. And we'll just do a handful of these. These release classes are usually not a workout. So this just goes along with the TRE and the prep phase. So all that weight's in the front leg. And remember, just go till you're about 70% fatigued. And then you stop. And let's bring our other leg in front now. So right leg in front, left leg is a kickstand. And let's come into some squats, focusing all the weight there on that front right leg. And again, just stop when you've reached your 70%. You're feeling it. And then we're going to do one last little bit of prep. So just find a wall if you can. If you don't have a wall space, you can just do this in kind of like a chair squatted pose like this. Otherwise, if you've got a wall space, just come to a wall sit. So just sit down against the wall as though you're sitting in a chair. Instantly feeling that. Now, we're not doing the full TRE prep that we would usually do. We're just giving a taster of this, dipping our toe in today. So the full prep's going to be a bit longer than this, and I will run through a session for that for members coming up. When you hit 70%, you're feeling fatigued, inch yourself up a little bit and stay here. This is our last one. I can feel my heart rate increasing. Stay here until we hit that kind of 70%. When you're ready, you can come back up. We're going to come down onto the floor again now, and we're going to lie back on our back. Move this back down. So lying on your back and coming into that butterfly position with your legs again. So the soles of the feet are together touching and the knees are wide. And then what we're going to do is just bring the knees up together about 2 centimeters closer together. So there's a little bit of a muscular effort to hold them here. I'm going to hang here for a little bit. You might not feel anything right now, or you may begin to feel your body wanting to shake. So you can maybe see on the screen, or you might not be able to see a screen from where you are, but you might be able to see some little shakes coming into my knees. Now, shaking is a really natural response. And it happens when we've been in shock or something traumatic or stressful has happened. The body will often naturally shake. This is what we see animals do in the wild. Humans do it too. And it's a natural response in order to regulate the nervous system again and to release emotion, stress, and trauma. Maybe noticing some shaking coming in. And as you're ready, we're going to bring the knees together just a couple of centimeters. Just an inch or so, not much. Very small movement. Hold them here. And this really helps with all those muscles, all that fascia, the connective tissue around the hips, where we so often find our emotions become stuck. And wherever you are, just allowing your body to move. If there's movement, that's fine. If there isn't, that's fine. No judgment. You can come out anytime just by letting your legs rest back down again. Noticing any tremors and shakes. Let's bring the knees just another inch closer together. Just allowing our body to naturally shake and release those emotions, release those stuck and stagnant, unprocessed bits that we no longer need. And just remember, this is just a taster today, so go easy on yourself, be compassionate. I'm going to let my legs come back to rest now. Just take a moment here with your knees naturally falling out to the sides. Use your hands to assist your legs back together. Roll over to one side. Come to a seat. We're just got to exercise here to close our somatic sequence. So coming to whatever comfortable seat. And we're just going to take a little polyvagal exercise now, which helps us to activate our vagus nerve. So that's that 10th cranial nerve, which makes up about 75% of your parasympathetic nervous system. So we can lose tone in that. And so activating it through these exercises are really going to help us strengthen our capacity to be resilient and to calm ourselves. So from your seat, facing straight ahead, tip your left ear toward your left shoulder and take your gaze up to your right. Tummy's gurgling. And you can hang here, or you can bring that left hand just to rest gently on your head. So we're just using the weight of the hand. We're not pulling or tugging or forcing. Eyes right up to the right. Just breathing here. Let go of any gripping. Drop the shoulder if it's creeping up. Deep, nourishing breaths fill up your ribs, your lungs, your diaphragm, your belly. Slow exhales, long exhales. Noticing any signs of release here. Is there a deep, spontaneous swallow? You feel like sighing, yawning. I cannot do these. I just said yawning. I cannot do these exercises without yawning. All these signs of parasympathetic nervous system activation, coming back to a sense of safety. Breathing here. You can spend 30 to 60 seconds here, or until you feel that sign of release. And now bring your hand down, your head back to center, your eyes back to center. Let's take your right ear off toward your right shoulder and your eyes up and to the left. Maybe the right hand rests on top of the head, maybe it doesn't. Keeping that gaze to your left. Come back to your breath. Those beautiful deep belly breaths. Maybe your hand could even come to rest on your belly here. Make that connection. Notice any signs of release. Swallows, sighs, yawns. A sense of settling. Allow your body to settle into the ground beneath you. Deeply connected and present and safe in this moment. Whenever you're ready, bringing the hand down, the head back through center. Well done. So that concludes our somatic release class and our beautiful series today. Again, just a reminder, whatever you feel now is okay, it is allowed. Maybe you feel a settling, maybe you experienced a release during class today, and you'll experience this differently on any given day. So you could come back and replay this class or this series in a week or so, or a couple of days, and bring yourself through, or just bring yourself through the exercises that resonated with you. So thank you for being here and for sharing this space with me. Lots and lots of love to you.